Hey Megan and Lee, hope you're doing well. Thanks for your patience. I usually can turn these around in about 48 hours, but I had 5 analysis to do this week and been hacking away at them. And I finally got around to sitting down and doing all this. So let me take you through everything. Basically, you're looking at this is your subject property. You can just follow my cursor. This is the square footage we're going to be going by. That becomes our multiplier as I work on price per square foot. This is the tax record. It has it at 1548. What we're going to do is we're going to use this one and cite previous listing as our source. And if they choose to measure, then that could come into play. So they may not choose to measure themselves, but the appraisal will measure for sure, and that could affect what we can get per square foot. But for pricing purposes, we're going to use the higher number that we can cite and then go from there. Okay, so here is the Mary Oaks neighborhood. This is just kind of the first layer that we're going to do in terms of determining the value. You can see that some of these do have 2 baths, but I've gone ahead and taken the ones that are closest to you guys, and I'm going to hover over these. And as I do, you'll see the price per square foot. Okay, this is a 3-1. A little smaller than you, 122 a square foot. Smaller houses usually sell for a little bit more. And then here's the next closed listing, 113 a square foot. That's more in line than what I would expect for that neighborhood. And here's one at 103 a square foot. So let's go back real quickly and look at this one. 122 a square foot on Blue Hills. You can see it's a really awesome house. They've done a lot of work to it, and it's styled really great backyard. So that's what 122 a square foot looks like. Go back to the list. Okay, this is Springview. Again, needs a few updates in the kitchen here, but nothing major. Cabinets are really nice and everything, just the vinyl floor. So great house, 113 a square foot. This seems to be a better comp than the last one because the square footage is a little bit closer to your square footage. And like I said, the smaller the house, the lower the square foot price. And then let's look at 218 Blue Hills Drive. Frankly, I think even though this house was kind of cluttered and needs some stuff, I still think they underpriced this house. It came off the market way too fast. And they did have the basement square footage in there, and so if you look, that house is actually only about 1,100 square foot house, so we're going to call that an outlier. 103 is just way too low. Like I said, I think they could have gotten a little more. Might not have appraised out with the basement. That could have become a problem. So anyway, that's establishes basically, if we count that as an outlier and assume that an appraiser is going to take our other 2 comps at 117 and 122 a foot. Now he's going to then go for one house. Oh yeah, and I like to look at the active houses as well. And then this is, I'm going to reorder these real quickly. These are the actives and pendings. You can see right here, okay, so the active right here with a contract already on it for 127 a square foot. Now this doesn't count in our appraisal. We cannot guarantee this. This is not part of the comparable analysis, but this is what I call the competitive analysis. This is where we look at who our competition is and what are they getting. The other thing is we don't really know that they got 127 a square foot, and they're still in inspection, so don't know where that one's going to close, but it lets you know that at least listed at 127 a square foot, they were able to get a contract. Now here's one that has not been able to get a contract. Now this is a foreclosure. It's been on the market 50 days, and you can see the inside of this one. It's pretty rough, needs lots of work. I don't really consider that a comparable, but just to show you what our competition is, we don't have to worry about that one too much. And they're asking 95 a square foot. And frankly, even at 95 a square foot, there's not enough margin built in there for someone to flip that house or anything like that. It would have to be a situation where someone was willing just to do some work. Okay, so the appraiser is going to take at least 2 from that neighborhood. They can take as many as 6 houses total. But in this case, we only have 2 comps within 6 months that are comparable. Now he can stretch his parameters and go outside those, and when he does, he has to justify that. But I'm going by their rules here. Now, what we want to do is look at Bluefields as a whole and kind of see what we can get. I ordered these in square footage. Let me just cut out a couple of these real quick. Those are too small. And that one's just pushing it, but if you, what we see on the larger houses, 102, 99, 109, 139. Now that's Bluefields. I would love for them. They actually sold that house. I would love for them to take that one. It'd be great for us, but it tends to be they don't do that. So 95, 105, 122. Again, see, this is your one we talked about, Mary Oaks. 96, 102, and 117 in Sunset View. Let's look at this one real quickly. Messing up my clicking here. Okay. All right, that one didn't have any photos on the inside. Sorry about that. So basically what I want to point out there is that from a comparative standpoint, where we look at past closed listings on paper, says, yeah, we can get 117 to 122. However, from the competitive standpoint, what we're competing against, you'll see that some of these houses have sold for a lot less. That's okay though, because we don't have to be all these houses. So we're going to hope that someone is aiming for Mary Oaks, which I would rank in the top 3 or 4 subdivisions in Donaldson in terms of being established and whatnot, as a good comparable. I mean, as a good neighborhood that people would actually target to say, you know, I don't want to be in Sunset or Twin Oaks, but I do want to be in Mary Oaks. And finally, we're going to look again at the competitive part of it, but for all of Donaldson. So what you see here is basically you've got 1,600 square feet. 1,600 square feet in Castlewood has sold at 209. Doesn't mean we can get it, but it just means that you're providing a really good value at that point. And I say has sold, they have a contract. Again, 1,600 square foot at 184, 1,800 square feet at 184. Mary Oaks, 1,300 square feet at 169, and 1,600 square foot at 154. These all have contracts. The ones that are failing to sell are right here, 104 square foot, 186 a square foot, 108. Those are actually priced below square footage wise. These 127, see 127 again. The reason why is they are actually a little distressed, those properties are. So you're kind of right in the middle there. I'm still just keep saying, you know, 117 in Mary Oaks. If I go, you know, look at some of these at 98 a square foot, I think they're subpar. Cabin Hill, I don't know if you know the street, but it's just subpar, and it's not as nice as what you have. So 117 to 127 a square foot is where I'm really narrowing down. All right, so here is where the rubber meets the road with all those numbers we just went over. You're probably just thinking I'm the biggest geek in the world right now, or I'm really good at what I do. So here is the market analysis, and I'm not going to show you my math on all of these. I'm just going to, I've already worked that out separately. I'll just take you through the final values based on those prices per square foot. A couple things I always like to go over. You guys seem pretty savvy folks, but these are some of the things that are measurable and can come into play with the appraisals. Past sales, condition of the property, updates completed, basement square footage, and garage space. Here's the things that a lot of people think add value to their homes, but don't necessarily, and sometimes it's the opposite. People don't think it takes away from their home, but it does. Busy roads, pools, the size of the yard or lot may not show up on an appraisal, but it does tend to bring more money. Access to the backyard, you guys got that. Again, basement's not a problem. Storage space, all these little houses have terrible storage. Outbuildings, if they're in bad shape, they're a liability. If they're in good shape, then they can actually help bring a little bit of money. Again, won't show up on an appraisal. And then new home competition. Well, that's what I love about Donaldson. The analysis are tough, but we have no new home competition, so we don't have to worry about what a builder is willing to do to move somebody in. So with closed comps, first thing we need to do is really spend a lot of headspace in thinking about what your house is worth. Now, I said 117 a square foot several times during the presentation, and what I meant to say it was 113 a square foot, because that was our two big numbers, 122 and 113. I was saying 117 because I had already come up with that average based on 2 of those comps coming out of Maple Crest and at least 1 coming out of another neighborhood. And so I just took what I felt like were the best, most solid comps and came out to about 117 a square foot. 9 out of 10 times I'm right on with this in terms of guessing about what an appraiser is going to pick. I mean, he could pick 3 more in addition to that and take an average and make adjustments based on flooring and all that. So I can't get too far, but this is what I think we could justifiably have minimal appraisal problems with, is 189. And then what we do is we look at fantasy land, and fantasy land is where a lot of people like to spend all their time, but what it really means is that everything has to come back perfectly, and the best possible appraisal would be 125 a foot. And so what I did is I took that from, if I were to pick the 2 best maple crest comps at 122 and 113, and then I averaged that in with my best bluefield comp at 139 a square foot, I could possibly get 125 a square foot, which put us at 205. So that would be best case scenario. So what I want to do now is just back up real quick and look at what that price, these 2 prices really, would look like in a competitive market. Okay, so what we're assuming here is that we have somewhere north or south about $15,000 to $20,000 of that highest price, 205. And instead of just saying, when an appraiser come up with the money, would a buyer even be willing to pay that? And what got some Section 8, I mean not Section 8, Area 8 stuff in there. I'm just going to skip over those, but this is Area 7. Some of the 37214 is in Area 8, so I don't worry about that. But if we go over here, you see that somebody could get 2,300 square feet for $200,000. Go to the next one here. Again, I apologize for these Area 8 stuff. And then over here, 1,600 square feet for $209. That house on Selma does not blow my skirt up. It was a completely remodeled house, and in my opinion, done poorly. But it has a little bit of a wow factor that helped them get that. And of course, I don't know what they got. I know that I showed it several times, and I wasn't impressed. So they may be as low as like 117 a square foot. And then down here, if you're spending $213,000, you're getting a brand new house at 105 a square foot. So what it means is that basically, if somebody was willing to pay 205, we wouldn't be very competitive with these larger houses. I think we'd be competitive with this one though. So that gives me a little hope that we could possibly sell for north of 200. So what I'm going to suggest is a marketing price. I think the best marketing price is actually our probable sales price. I don't mind running into appraisal problems if that's part of it, but we could waste a lot of time there. I think at 189 we're going to have minimal appraisal problems. We still could have problems, but nothing major. We might be a couple grand off or something like that. Every tick we go above that, we're really running into some problems. Now, I would feel comfortable with you guys if you wanted to list as high as 205. But the way I would take that listing is that you guys agree that within 2 or 3 weeks, if we're getting no showings or really negative feedback or low offers, that it's time to make some changes. I didn't see anything about your house that I could ask you to improve that would bring a lot of value to the sale, because it's already in really great shape. So what I want to see you guys do is go to market with a strong price and hold as close to it as possible. Rather than shoot for the moon and then just work your way down. So, and if you want to, hey, I'm up for that. So let's talk about that. And just for fun, because I was curious, I pulled some of the houses that I've sold. And these are the houses that I've been the buyer's agent on in Donaldson. We got 30 houses here. It's well over a few $1 million. And then, these are all the listings that I've closed within the past 2 years. So you'll see that we're rocking. So we got 49 houses in the past 3 years total. So hopefully that'll persuade you guys that we do a lot in Donaldson, and we got a lot of happy folks out there. Check out my reviews on Zillow too if you need to. I appreciate it. I'm just trying to indulge you because I know you guys had some good questions for me, and I wasn't prepared for those the other day. So hope that helps. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.